So good morning.
So good morning.
Once again,
Once again,
welcome to this session of ours. Today we are going to talk about self-confidence. Somebody's mic. Kindly mute your mic. Thank you. So today's session, we are going to talk about confidence, self-confidence, basically that which makes you want to take action, that which makes you step up and become the best that you can be. And today we have 3 guests. Unfortunately, our youth guest has had network challenges. So we'll have a session with her later and record her thoughts and share them with you. So we'll start off by having our guests introduce themselves, then we'll get into the details of the discussion for today. We'll start with you, Nekesa. Share with us your name. Please unmute your mic.
My name is Nekesa Wafula. I'm an agricultural economist by training, and I'm a mentor. I work with young girls, the ones in high school, to just mentor them through education and to enable them understand the meaning of life and why they need to be successful. And also just interacting with young people to help them in terms of coaching in agriculture. I'm also a science coach, and I coach agribusiness startups.
Okay, thank you. Ken? Your mic is muted.
Thank you, Anne. My name is Kennedy Musyoki, a teacher by profession, an examiner, and also working with youths in the village. Thank you. And Mike.
Sorry, Collins, finally.
Good morning. Thank you, Anne, for the introduction. My name is Collins. I'm a teacher by profession and passion. I deal with youth between the ages of 12, 13, all the way to 19. That is IGCSE, all the way to A level. And today's topic is close to my heart, and I believe we shall help someone out there. Karibuni sana.
Thank you, thank you. So today we are talking about self-confidence. And Ken, we want you to start us off. What is self-confidence? Why is it important? Why are we taking time to discuss this?
Thank you, Madam Anne, and the rest of the team. Self-confidence, the word self-confidence originated from Latin, for the word fider, and it means trust or having trust for something or something. It is that feeling that I will win something. If I start something, or I trust somebody to do something. So it's about feeling, and the passion it is attached to success. Thank you, Anne. And
the importance just the importance of it.
The importance of self-confidence is having one accomplish his set goals in any project, having set objectives. And just to give some quotes, for example, we have Sloane Stephens, the American tennis player, the Wimbledon, born in March 20, 1993. She said that when you have confidence, you can do anything. That's the time when she won the first event. And then also Blake Lively said, most beautiful things to be won is confidence, self-confidence. Thank you, Anne.
Thank you so much. Nekesa, do you have any other thoughts on that in terms of what Ken has shared?
I think maybe just to add a little bit is just on the self-confidence bit, where what drives you and in terms of what you achieve and what you do, where you feel it's worthy to be done, that also can build into your self-confidence. If you're able to undertake an activity or even a venture that you're getting into, without basically having interferences from outside. That means it's coming from within, and I'm sure it's going to be talked about later. That also can fall under self-confidence, where you acknowledge what you're doing without having others influence what you're doing.
Mm-hmm. And probably that now brings us to the other part on self-esteem. Collins, just explain to us, is there any difference between self-confidence and self-esteem? Collins?
Yes, thank you, Anne. There is a difference. Yes, there's a difference between self-esteem and self-confidence. From what Kennedy just told us, self-confidence is a trust, the belief that you have the ability to do something. Now, self-esteem is our cognitive and emotional appraisal of our self-worth, your value as a person. So there's a way you can have high self-confidence because you've achieved a lot, but you still have low self-esteem. And this can be seen in many sectors of our lives. The most prominent one that we see it most is the entertainment industry, where you get a musician, an entertainer, doing very well in their career, but you find them trying to escape the low self-esteem part by engaging in drugs and illicit behaviors, or even to a very bad extent, committing suicide. So the difference between self-esteem and self-confidence is quite clear.
Okay, thank you. So basically what you're bringing in, Collins, is self-esteem has to do more with the worth that I feel, the worth that I place on myself. Collins. Okay, we seem not to be communicating, but
Yes,
basically,
if you place yes.
Okay, so we'll move on. Now, looking at self-confidence, somebody might want to ask.
Yes, and
Sorry, Collins, you are saying something. Okay, let's move to the next question. I think there's a bit of network challenge. You'll pick it up when you're speaking next.
Yes, I was agreeing with you on self-esteem. If you place
Sorry, Collins, we seem to be losing you a bit, so we'll come back to you. Now, I was just talking about self-confidence. Somebody would ask, is it something that I'm born with? Is it something that I learn along the way? Where does it originate from? And probably, Ken, you can also kick it off for us. Where does self-confidence originate from? Your mic is mute.
Yeah, thank you. And it's either way. It can be inborn, it can be created. And how is it created? That is when we talk of the term extrinsic factor. The environment, the parents, and the company that you are in can build one's self-confidence. The mentorship programs can build one's confidence. The environment, when you copy from others, it can build self-confidence, because it's like making one from uplifting one's status. When you are down, people will uplift you. People will encourage you, and when you are encouraged, it can build self-confidence and make one go to higher levels, which maybe when you are alone you could not make it. And talking about being inborn, it is the intrinsic factor. that is from you, having that confidence from you, saying that you can, and coming out boldly and doing it courageously. So that's why I said it is both ways, build and also meant. Thank you, Anne.
You're on mute, Anne. We can't hear you.
Anne, your mic is
off. Anne, your mic is muted. We can't hear you.
Sorry, I think I'll stop. So basically what I was saying is, Nekesa, could you mute your mic? Basically what I was saying is, we find kids who are generally confident. They are born confident. They carry themselves with a lot of confidence. They've never been taught. So that is an intrinsic part of self-confidence. Nekesa, coming to you, we want to explore the extrinsic factor. What Ken talked about the environment. Could you share a bit more on how the extrinsic factors help build somebody's self-confidence?
So when you look at the extrinsic factors, these are more related to the environment. So this is something that you build as you move into the So these are things that you build as you grow up. So these are things that you generally are around, surrounding you. This we take, for example, the parents, your friends, the school environment that our children spend in most of the time. And we can say that this could probably attribute to about 70% of the self-confidence, because they spend more time in school. If your child is brought up in an environment where people scold each other every now and then, they can develop in terms of extremities. They can either get the self-confidence or lose it. So it depends on how the environment is. And this is more of a family setup. So if you're bringing up a child, make sure that you encourage them, give them words of encouragement, teach them how to say thank you, let them appreciate their mistakes and learn from them. So if they are able to learn from their mistakes and say sorry, and they actually become better, that is building their self-confidence over time. If they are in school, if say, for example, in a class, and I know this happens a lot, if you find that in a class, for example, you find the bright students are put in a certain, maybe in one block, then the other ones are put in another, and probably the ones who don't perform so well are put together in another one, it might also affect the confidence of these children that we have. So if we are able to find ways as teachers, even just to find ways in which we can balance out and encourage all the students, whether we term them as bright in terms of the academic grading or poor in terms of the academic grading, to be able to be together. Ask questions across the class. Say, for example, if today a question was asked, and then one student pointed out or maybe answered it incorrectly, and the other students laughed, that would affect the confidence of this student. So there's a way in which also in the classroom setup or in the school setup, we need to build that confidence in each and every student. I remember in high school, and I attribute who I am today from my high school, it was in terms of the way the teachers taught us, and in terms of the way they handled us. So I remember one nun used to tell us that I was in a Catholic school, so the nuns would come and tell us, if this is your character and you want to actually build it, say this is your confidence. You say, this is my confidence, I accept it, it is mine. So you own whatever you have, and it's actually yours. Then if you learn to own whatever is yours, so long as it's legal, then that way you build on it each and every day. And every time you feel like it's going down, you build on it, and it becomes better with time. So I believe also the environment that the students are in also affects. Let's look at also friends. They say that the friends you have reflect the character that you have. Sometimes it might not be, because some people naturally have friends that are diverse, but it doesn't mean that everything that the friend says they can take because of how they were also brought up. They know how to differentiate between wrong and right. So they're able to pick what works for them. But again, there are those who go with the flow. So with such a kind of youth, how do they acquire? Some of these are acquired characteristics or acquired, things that would affect their confidence. How do they relate to the people around, the friends that they have, to be able to boost their confidence? So if they have friends who also have confidence, there's a more likely chance that they have also their own confidence increased. Yeah, so it depends on, there are those three, the environmental factors, the extrinsic factors from parents, friends, and the schools, because this is where the child or the youth spends most of their time. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much, Nekesa, for the insight. Now, Colin, still on how self-confidence is the origin of self-confidence, or how we acquire self-confidence. There is the aspect of self-image. You can also share with us how self-image actually affects somebody's self-confidence.
Okay, thank you, Anne. Self-image is how we perceive ourselves, how we look at ourselves. And self-image comes as a package of the emotional, mental, and the physical one. Now, if we look at the physical one, where you have to be tidy, clean, presentable, that is very easy. You just need to put on the right clothes. You need to be clean, and you'll be okay. We have the emotional and the mental. Now, this is one of the toughest parts in self-image, where someone will perceive themselves as who they are or who they are not. There's this thing called the imposter syndrome, where someone can gain self-confidence over a period of time, but there's always this feeling. It can be emotional, it can be mental, where you feel like you are not supposed to be where you are. You have not gained the trust of the place. This feeling will make you feel like a fraud in the midst of your success, in the midst of your accomplishments, and this can deter you a lot and push you back. There's an example that I liked from Nekesa, where he talks about the environment, the class, and how they bring about self-confidence. If a student works hard to improve, but then there is doubt from every corner, the teachers say, how did this person get to this point? Or the other students say, how did this one get here? Or they say, you've gotten there, you will not go beyond there, or you will not stay there for long. What will happen is the imposter syndrome will kick in and the person will slide back. And this is all thanks to self-image. So self-image can be both positive and negative, depending on how we look at it. So I implore everyone, our youth, have a positive self-image. Do not fall into this problem known as imposter syndrome. Thank you,
Okay.
Anne. Back to you.
Thank you. Probably just if we could explore a bit on this, the origins of self-confidence and looking at the school, because I know from experience, if I use an example of my daughter and what would happen to her. She, at home, you have built this image of a very confident person, but when she goes to school, because she's an introvert, she doesn't talk much, she's shy, then teachers tend to interpret that as being stupid or as not knowing what's going on. Probably Ken and Collins, you can share, being in the school environment, you can share with us so that as parents, we also get to understand, because at times kids can portray a different image at home, and then when they go to school, because of the factors in the school, a totally different image comes across. So how do we as parents deal with that, and how do we as teachers equally deal with that, so that we are able to help these youth or this child to be able to build that self-confidence? Probably, Ken, you can start and then we'll come to Collins.
Thank you. And I totally agree with you on that side because we are created differently. There are extroverts and introverts, and it takes a lot of wisdom and knowledge to realize who is extrovert, who is introvert, because even the outcome or the behavior can be cheating. And you find most of the time those pupils or those childs who are good at home, who are talkative at home, tend to be silent in school, and the opposite is true. And it may cause conflict between the school setup and the home setup, especially parents and the school. And so parents should be open to the school environment, especially teachers who most of the time have these children, and say what these children are doing at home. So that now, because teachers cannot follow these children at home because of the set norms and codes of regulation. If a parent comes out openly and says about what a child is doing at home, the parent, the teachers, out of the psychology which they learned, will be able to come out with a successful thing for that child. For example, I will give an example with my daughter, who, when at home, is talkative, but I went to school and found that she is very silent, and the teachers amazed me, telling me the girl is silent, is calm. I only wish that they could come at home and see how she does things at home. It's totally different. So the point is, once a parent or a guardian comes to school and opens up about what the child is doing at home, from the psychological study that teachers have been taught, we find it very easy helping that child and coming up with success. Now, that is when the time things like motivation, both material and non-material, verbal rewards comes in, and the child will be assisted. Back to you, Anne.
Thank you. Probably, Collins, you can also just share with us, given you're in a different system, probably the way you handle kids is slightly different from the system that Ken is in. Would you just share with us your thoughts on that?
Thank you, Anne. I'm happy that Kennedy has touched on most of the things, inspiration, motivation. But if you look at it closely, the reality of the matter is everything boils down to the simple words that we teachers use in school. When a student answers a question, how are we supposed to respond if they get it wrong? Most of the time, if you say, no, you're wrong, it might be the only chance for that student to speak in class. So what they'll do is they'll shut down and they'll never try again. So the student who answers the most questions, if you're always picking on that student and you leave out the rest, again, you are portraying another, you are killing self-confidence in other students, and you're only building for that student. So it boils down to the words that we use. For example, if a student goes wrong, you should be able to, first of all, appreciate their efforts and tell them, thank you, that is a very interesting answer. And then now you move to correcting. You got the first two things correct, but now from there, you need to correct A, B, C, D. The student will feel appreciated and their self-confidence will exponentially grow over a period of time because they're not being shut down completely. The second case, if the student is only picking on the sharp students or the students who participate more, the rest of the students will lay low and their confidence will continue going because we have to also remember that confidence is like a muscle. The more you work out the muscle, the better it gets. So those students will keep quiet, continue not participating, and before they realize it, they don't have the power to come out. So I'd really encourage all the teachers around the country and around the world to check on their words and check on how they respond to their students. That will be the make or the break moment for the students. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Collins. And probably I want to rope you in, Nekesa, from a parent's perspective. You know, at times you have worked so hard to pay the school fees and somebody brings you a D. How do our reactions? Just mute a bit so that how do our reactions to our children when they bring their report cards home affect or build their confidence?
You know, the first instinct of a parent, especially when you see a D, is to get annoyed and probably scold the child, you know, just to tell them why, you know, why are you getting a D? We never used to get Ds, and even probably you used to get Ds, but you just want to make it known that you never used to get Ds. So I think also our approach as parents sometimes is not really right, because the first thing we need to go into details is to find out why the child got that D. You know, it could either be lack of interest in that subject. Then how do you, as a parent, now boost that interest in that particular subject? How do you approach it as a parent? And probably working with the teachers, because you know you cannot work on your own when it comes to education. You have to loop in the teachers, try to find out what is happening in school that probably is making the child fail. I can give you an example of my son who now has finished his high school. I remember when he joined Form 1, he really used to perform very well. But when it reached Form 2, we noticed that some of the subjects were not really up to the level at which we were expecting from him. So we delved deeper only to find out that sorry to say, but some teachers were not really, you know, that active in terms of following up with the students who are probably dropping in class and not finding out why they were dropping in terms of marks. So we went deeper to the extent of, by the time he was going to Form 3, we had to change his schools. And that change of school only actually helped him even to build his confidence and study better. And he performed well in his KCSE. So you can see, if you go deeper into some of these details, why is the student failing? You know, is there something that is being done that is not, you know, normal? If his normal was a B, why is now the new normal a D? Is there a problem that has made him drop from a B to a D? What is really happening? Is it his own, you know, intrinsic things that he's trying to build? Is it a certain thing that is building that you never used to know? Is it his friends? Sometimes also the friends that they interact with in schools can influence their performance. So you need to find out, who are they hanging with? Who are they hanging out with before and now? So you need to see which friend have they introduced that is new, that has affected, you know, their performance, so that you also go and talk to probably the parent or the teachers to see how is this other student performing. What is you know, that what is unique with this other student that is making your child fail? So, and then it is also not good to also go to the extent of scolding the other child, because your child chose to be their friend. So we need to find ways in which we can help children build their self-confidence. If the issue is at the school, try to sort out the issue at the school. If it is beyond you, then you see how to approach it. If the issue is with your child, then you know also how to approach it. There are disciplinary measures that you can undertake that do not necessarily have to be so, you know, like the corporal punishments that can, you know, can make your child not perform well or perform better. You can actually invite other people to speak to them, people that are not necessarily you, but people you feel can be a role model to your child. So you bring them in so that they can speak to them. If your child says they're going to be a lawyer, get a good lawyer to speak to them, so that they see it is not just about joking in class, that they can be a good lawyer. If your child wants to be a farmer, get the best farmer, the one who practices well, to speak to them, so that they can see that it's not an easy task to be where the person is. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Nekesa. And as you are speaking, you talked about boosting the confidence. So now, Ken, just share with us some of the tips that we can use, both as teachers, as parents, to be able to boost the confidence of our children, of the youth, even probably some of us. I'm sure the principals could apply. Ken.
Thank you, Anne. About boosting confidence, it's a good thing, eh? And I'll start by telling you one thing, that I appreciate what Nekesa has said, and as a teacher, I want to share with you 2 or 3 things that has ever happened to my students. I once used to mark a paper where...
Please speak up. Just speak up a bit.
Okay. I want to share 2 experiences that I had with my students, and one of them is there is a year I used to mark. I had a good class of mathematics, and I used to mark papers whereby all the pupils could do well, but only one girl could get E. And so I used to dish the paper as the last one, the answer sheet is the last one, and I used to smile when I'm giving the paper to that particular girl. And the girl used to smile also, because she used to know that if it's the last paper and I'm smiling, it's obvious that the girl has failed. There is a time I told that girl, just do your best and things will be well. I used to encourage her. Now, the most surprising thing is, come the national exam, she got a C+ in that particular paper, from E to C+. So it is like I was seeing that girl only in the class. I could not see those who scored S, but that was my heroine. I was walking around saying, that girl at least is the one who's making me proud, because the rest of her life she will not forget me because of that uplifting. You see, I had the ability to frustrate the girl and do worse, but that could not help. And now, you see, talking to her in a polite way and encouraging her made the girl perform well. We can as well apply the same. Before we rush to punishing, having negative words to a negative results, we should ask ourselves, we should dig deep and see what is eating. Maybe there may be psychological problem to that particular child or a student or person. Also, in our project that we are doing in the community, you find there are some people who have done things which have stagnated. Before we start blaming them or telling them that they are not able, we should look at the deep cause of what is making it not to succeed. Now, in I think some 9 years ago, I also encountered another child who used to, when I marked the mathematics paper, she used to get a clean 0. That is in classwork. And so I found it not good to put wrongs in the book, because if that was a trade, I could mark wrongs from cover to cover. I asked myself, if I was myself and find a teacher who has marked wrongs from cover to cover, how will I feel? So I could only look at the question which she had correct and mark them. If she has wrongs, I could leave them. And so the girl, with time, garnered courage and came and told me, I have not marked her work. So I told her that the work was wrong and there was no need of marking to see wrong. So I could show her. With time, I started seeing her improving slowly by slowly, and she started doing some things. I could mark steps, not necessarily the answer, but the steps. If I find that she has got 2 or 3 steps which are correct, I could award and put good comments. So that made her also gain confidence and started doing things. And even today, and those are many years ago, she remembers me. She texts me and says that I was the best teacher to her. And I realized that I made her have self-confidence. Now, and I will tell you, that child at home, if you keep on telling your boy or your child to go and look after cattle, and it takes 21 days, you keep on giving same call every day, you find the child just producing a sound like a goat because that is the environment that she is used to. Vary these duties. Today, let that child do this duty, do another duty, motivate anytime positively in time, and you see the confidence going up. Again, we keep on reminding our children to do well and go to national school. And when that child does not qualify to go to national school and safely goes to extra county school or a school that is not national school, we have finished ourselves or is self-confidence. Let us accept things the way they are. Because not all successful people performed well in school. There are some who did not do well. I have an example of a boy from my next village who works in aerodrome, and he got E, and he's doing very well there. You see, we should not convene ourselves to only performance in school, but we should also make them build their confidence that there are other things that a child or a person can do even if you have failed. What was the main target? Back to you, Anne.
Thank you, Ken. That was very comprehensive. Collins, you have something to add, and probably as you talk about that, look, there is something I had forgotten earlier, the issue of when confidence lacks, what is the alternative? So probably as we are talking about boosting confidence, you can also share with us when the confidence lacks, what am I supposed to do?
Thank you very much, Anne, and Ken, thank you. Now, maybe the only thing that I would like to tell parents and teachers as a whole, self-confidence for our learners, for our children, will boil down to only one thing: the power of words. The way you talk to that student, the way parents talk to their children will determine whether that child will have self-confidence or they will lack it. And remember, the power of words. Words can kill both self-confidence and self-esteem. So parents out there, please, let's take care. Let's understand our students. Let's understand our children before we tell them anything negative that will kill their future. So when self-confidence lacks and you still need to go through something or a challenge, there's one thing that usually remains there. That is courage. Courage is that feeling, that thing that will push you through the unknown. When you're going into something and you don't know it, it will be courage that will push you. Self-confidence usually comes as a result of maybe practicing, having trust in yourself, so you know you can do it. So you're doing it out of the know. Courage will be more of doing it and you don't know if you will make it or not. The more courage you have, definitely the more it will lead you to self-confidence. And one thing we should note is courage is limitless. Courage is what will push you through most of the things, and we know that life is an exam that is different for each and every one of us. So I cannot look at what Anne, Ken, or Nekesa has gone through and say, I know, so I have self-confidence and I trust myself that I'll also go through the same challenge the same way. That is not true. Everyone has their own, and there's always that time that courage has to kick in when you're doing something totally new. And just to finish, the way Ken said about try a new thing every day. Go into something that you're not comfortable with. When you do that, you are building your courage. You are tapping into your courage so that it can help you with your self-confidence. Thanks, Anne. Back to you.
Thank you so much. Nekesa, do you have anything to add in terms of building self-confidence?
Maybe just to add on the action part, because sometimes, you know, you can have the confidence, but if you don't action it, then it can leave you demoralized. So sometimes when you're demoralized, it's always good to take a step back, and I call it kujiita mkutano. Unajiita mkutano, wewe mwenyewe, wewe na nafsi yako, you and your image. Then you question some of those things that you've done and how they are affecting you and how you can, you know, make them be better. So once you've finished the mkutano with yourself, then you can see what are the next steps to you know, to take to lift your self-confidence and to be a better person. It's not always that you might have people to advise you. Sometimes you can be in that state of, I just want to be on my own, I don't want to see people. That's when you need to call yourself for that meeting with yourself. So once you have that, probably you can now reach out to others. And also it's good to reach out. Sometimes having the meeting with yourself might not help. Calling others to help you might be good, so that you also don't fall into depression, because that can actually lead into depression also. We've seen a lot of cases, especially lately, where people are doing very, you know, bad things because of, you know, getting into depression. They never had someone to talk to. They felt they were not worth it, you know, to the world, yet it is just their lives. It is what matters to them that should have come out, you know. So it would be good to also share with, you know, your people, your neighbors. Even if they won't listen, at least they'll know that something is there. And you as the neighbor also learn to listen, because once we listen to people, just giving them that listening ear can help, you know, build them as a person, or even get them out of the problem they are in, to build their self-confidence and become better people. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Nekesa. And as we are going through the issue of boosting self-confidence, actually the topic of discussion that we had shared, the issue of self-perception, came into mind, and we haven't spoken much about it. How do we tie everything that we've talked about into this word self-perception, so that our listeners could follow? We've been talking about self-perception and the impact it has on success, but at no single point have we talked about self-perception. So let's link the issue of self-confidence, the issue of self-esteem to self-perception. Ken, you look like you want to go first.
Thank you, Anne. About self-perception is how you take yourself. How do you perceive things? How you see things? You know, with self-confidence, when you have self-confidence, the perception comes in automatically. Because you cannot have, say, for example, you don't have confidence and you say that you'll succeed. It will be like pulling on two sides there. I'm moving to the right and I want the result to the right, to the left. So with self-confidence, it automatically brings what you are passive, your perception towards things. That's what I can say.
Thank you, Ken. Collins, what are your views? Where does self-perception
Thank you very much, Anne. Self-perception, self-esteem, self-confidence, and success, in my opinion, look at it as a chain reaction. So you perceive yourself, you give yourself that worth. I see myself, I can do it. Your self-esteem goes up. Definitely, it's going to aid with your self-confidence. And with self-confidence, you get more morale, more boost to attack and accomplish challenges. Accomplish goals, attack challenges and accomplish goals. And definitely, the more goals and the more challenges you attack, the more success you get. But this does not mean that you will not fail at one point or another. Having good self-perception means that if at any one point you fail while attacking your challenges, you will understand. You will not blame yourself, because you'll understand, I have done my best. I need to relook into this. I need to redo this. Again, boosting your self-confidence after a failed attempt. So self-perception, self-esteem, self-confidence, and at the end of the road, you have success. Back to you, Anne.
Thank you so much, Collins. I like the linkage of all the keywords that we have used today. Now, we have a question from one of our listeners. Samuel, thank you for the compliment. He says it's a wonderful discussion. Thank you. Now, the question he has is, what about a situation where you are self-confident, but circumstances happening around you make you lose that self-confidence? What are you to do in such a scenario? Ken, you seem to be nodding. We can start off with you.
Yes. Now, I like what the viewer has raised, because actually we addressed it earlier, that what about the opposite of self-confidence? Another viewer is coming up with, what about in the situation where self-confidence is there and on the way you encounter some obstacles, if I'm getting you right, Anne? Now, I'll start by saying this. If you are going to a place and you encounter, you keep on throwing stones to any bird that is whistling, you never reach your destination. If you encounter barking dogs and you keep on throwing stones onto them, you never reach your destination. There are times that it calls for one to have to wax the ears and also become blind, fool yourself to be blind so as not to see some of the obstacles which may be taking you back or making you not achieve your success. Also, you have to plug your ears with wax so that you don't. There are some things that you just let them go off. You may listen to them and say that it cannot make me not reach my destination. It's just the same as at home. For example, if you have a lineage in a family whereby all the pupils have not been performing well in school, and then you are here as the last one, then some people start telling you that you cannot make it. Now, it should not be a challenge. It should not be an issue, because that was them, and here's you. It may be your talent with your self-confidence, and it may be killed if you go by what people may be telling you, may be discouraged. So what I can tell some is just be focused and move on. If the self-confidence is taken down, there are other ways of resolving and strengthening it. Back to you, Anne.
Thank you. Nekesa, do you have anything to say? The question that
Yeah, sure. Okay, I would take I always like giving people real life experience. So I'll take my case. When I relocated, I used to school in Nairobi. So when I reached standard 7 in the 844 system, we happened to move now to the rural village. So being in the rural village, and we know the perceptions in the rural where they say it's only men who can do things better than women. So I remember being in a class, and the first time we did the exam, I had not stayed there for long, but the first time we did the exam, I was on top of the class. And the boys in the class were like, like, you are a repeater, because you've repeated is why you're performing better. But I knew that I was not a repeater. In a matter of fact, I even came to school late because my parents were still looking for, a school for us. So when I joined the school, it was halfway in the term. Then we had to, sit for exams after a short while. But I knew it was because I was, I was a good student. So just to prove them wrong and that it was not an issue with, with repeating, I still did well the following term. Now they said, no, there's a boy who actually came to me and said, you cannot defeat me in class. And I was like, okay, let's watch this space. That gave me the courage to actually even become better, read more, and perform better. And you see the fact that even in the third term I beat the boys, I even became more confident. And I was, my head was really held up, I felt very confident in that. And that experience has really, it made me become more conscious about what is in my environment. How do I need to approach it, considering the people you're interacting with. And that only made me become a better person. So the confidence was built, and I became a better person. So sometimes you have to ignore the noises in your background to become a better person. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much, Ken and Nekesa. Collins, do you have anything else to add, or we can move to the next question?
Maybe one thing that Nekesa brought out clearly, it is the more aware you are of yourself, the more self-confidence you're going to have. And that is regardless of the situation. The situation can push you down, but given that you are aware, then everything will be okay. Back to you, Anne.
Thank you. We seem to have lost Nekesa. I hope she'll join us before we finalize the session. Now we move to our last question. Oh, we've also lost, wow, Ken. Today the network seems to be such a challenge. So probably let's just explore the last question, where we are talking about tapping into self-confidence and leveraging on that so that you are able to succeed in life. Collins, you can share with us as I try to find out what has happened. Oh, Ken is back, even
Okay.
So let me just repeat the question. Let me repeat the question before you move.
Okay.
Basically, Ken and Nekesa, sorry we lost you and we are glad you're back. What we are looking at is the issue of how do we tap into, how do we leverage on this self-confidence to be able to be successful in our life. So Collins was going to take us through. Then Ken and Nekesa, you'll add your thoughts after that. Collins.
Thank you very much, Anne. Self-confidence and success. This is a very interesting part. We will look at it from two sides. The first one is the egg and the chicken scenario. So is it that you become successful and then more self-confidence kicks in? Or is it self-confidence will lead you to becoming successful? That's the question we need to ask ourselves. And what we need to understand is self-confidence will make us have something known as self-efficacy, the mentality of I can do it. So that is how we are going to look at self-confidence and success. Back to you, Anne.
Thank you so much. Ken, any thoughts on the correlation between self-confidence and success?
Yeah, and I like the new one that Collins has brought of self-efficacy, because it is a word which is all over the CBC program that was launched by the government about the 21st century child. Should be self-efficacy was one of the words that I met in most of the training I was doing. And what I can say about tapping in my self-confidence for success is one can start something, that is drive to start a project. The aim of the project is to boost your self-confidence, because at the end of the day you'll be happy when you see it succeeding. It will show that your confidence is up. And then the other point is about you can stand by yourself, not to be swayed by external factors. Yes, external factors may be of a plus to your success and self-confidence, but shun away the ones which are negative. Then there is say no where appropriate and yes where appropriate. Is about making firm decision. If you choose to go by no, go by no, don't decide for yes. If it is yes, go by yes and not no. And there is also about overcoming fear, the fear of unknown. Don't be discouraged by people or external factors that something is not possible. go by I like the Adidas slogan, Adidas jersey and the sports kit makers. When we say nothing is impossible, they say impossible is nothing. That is their slogan. So that is overcoming fear of unknown. And then there is also the issue of setting the bar high enough to avoid mediocre results. Make yourself high, the head high, walk shoulder high, because when you set your bar high, it's like perhaps aiming at the sun and then you fall in the moon. If you want to go to the moon, they say set your bar to the sun, so that if you don't reach the sun, you may land in the same place, the moon. And then asking questions. Just walk boldly and ask for consultation and jobs. It's just like problem shared and halfway solved. Don't keep quiet with a problem. Perhaps it may be your helping point. And then believing in winning or believe in success is another thing. Believe. When you believe, it's like having courage, because courage is absence of fear. And when you feed fear with courage, then of course self-confidence, then the chain, as Colin said, the success will be there. Back to you, Anne.
Thank you so much, Ken. Nekesa, any thoughts on the correlation between self-confidence and success?
Maybe what I can also say is if you relate whatever you're doing with ability, then even if you fail or succeed, then you're able to pick it up again. If you succeed, then you'll better whatever you are doing. If you fail, you'll pick it up again and check where the problem is, and also be able to amend it and make it better. If you fail again, you pick it up, and that's how most successful people have been able to achieve their goals. But if you relate whatever you're doing with difficulty, then even if you fail, especially, you'll not go back and do it again. So whatever we undertake, just for the sake of our confidence, let's relate it to our ability. Our ability to be able to undertake that whatever action that we want to take, or whatever project that we want to undertake. If we don't have the ability, there's something called leveraging on partners. Have partners who will be able to assist you to achieve, the end goal of whatever you're undertaking. So that at the end of the day, it's about ability driving whatever you're doing, so that the confidence can be built.
Yeah, in fact, that reminds me. Sorry, yes?
Ability can be achieved and therefore success.
Thank you. In fact, the issue of collaboration just reminds me, like in school where you find during exams, you come together for revision because one person is stronger in a certain subject, the other one is stronger or a certain topic. Then you are able now to have a better understanding of that particular. Thank you. Now, before you give us your parting shot, there is a question from Patrick Karaoke, and he's asking, okay, first of all, he gave a comment, self-confidence is a factor of total self-acceptance. Then his question is self-confidence synonymous to self-belief? Is self-confidence synonymous to self-belief? Yes, Ken.
And they are one and the same thing. The difference is the same. Self-belief and self-confidence is the same.
Okay. Collins?
Because
oh, sorry. Can you just finish?
Yeah, I'm saying so because those are twin words. Self-confidence, self-belief, they go hand in hand. If you want to achieve your success, you can use either self-confidence, self-belief.
Ken, there's something blocking your face.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Collins, any thoughts on that? Is self-confidence synonymous to self-belief?
I agree with Ken that when you are defining the meaning of self-confidence, the word believe or trust is there. So it is one and the same thing.
Okay. Nekesa, any different thought, or you're in agreement? Self-belief and self-confidence.
I don't know how to put this, but I think self-belief leads to self-confidence, in my view, because if that belief is more of an action, it's action oriented. So it makes you have that self-confidence to do whatever you have to do. But they are kind of intertwined, like they are one and the same thing. But I think one precedes the other. I'm not a specialist, but maybe the specialist can talk more about this. Yeah, but yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I think what Ken had said, the difference is almost the same, because it's almost the chicken and egg scenario. It's almost the chicken and egg scenario, whereby you build one over time and you get the other one as a result. Self-belief. No, I can't use the same word to explain it. What I know about myself. And confidence is also almost similar. What I know I can do ABCD. So the difference is almost the same. There could be a slight tweak, maybe based on the context. Now let's come to our parting shot. We have had quite an interesting discussion, and our time is up. So we need to start to just give our parting shot. Please, let's take a minute and see how it goes. So we'll start with you, Ken, then Nekesa, and finalize with Collins.
Now, and I'm happy. Thank you, panelists. I will say this, that one scholar said, the cowards are afraid before the danger, while the courageous ones are afraid after the danger. That would be my parting words. Have a nice weekend, guys.
Sorry, just come again.
I'll say this. One scholar said the cowards are afraid before the danger, while the courageous ones are afraid after tackling the danger. Have a nice weekend, guys.
Thank you. Nekesa?
So for me, I would say let's have a lot of positive thinking, thought awareness, and also look at when you're looking at anything to do with self-confidence, let's also have some rational thinking, because sometimes we think that we can do so much, yet our ability cannot achieve that much. Let's be realistic in our goals so that it also doesn't affect our confidence. Yeah, thank you.
That's a very important pointer. Being realistic with our abilities so that we are not affecting our confidence. Thank you, Nekesa. Finally, Collins.
Thank you, Anne, and my fellow panelists. To the teachers, parents, and guardians outside there, I'd like to implore you to use the right words, and remember the power of words. It can change for the better. It can change a person or youth for the worse. And also the youth out there, the power of your perception, the value you place on yourself will make or break you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Collins. So, and thanks to our audience for having stayed with us. My parting shot would be always focus on your mindset, have the right mindset. And the mindset is your thought process. What you think about is actually what you see in your results. So let us be careful on what we think about, even the words that we use. Because if you use the words I can, then you can. If you use the words I can't, then you won't. So our mindset is important when it comes to self-confidence, self-awareness. This has been talked about a lot. If you are not sure of who you are, then whatever you portray out there will not be. It will just be like the flag, you'll go with the wind. So what we talked about self-perception, it's closely related to self-awareness. Ensure you know who you are, what your abilities are, what your capabilities are, what you can do and what you cannot do, and what are the strategies you can put in place to be able to become the best that you can be. And finally, practice, practice, practice. As Colin said, self-confidence is like a muscle. So the more you practice, the stronger it becomes. And with that, we come to the end of our session. Thank you so much for being with us. And we welcome you again next week on Saturday, same time, same venue, for our next exciting topic. And please remember, in the course of the week, we will be able to get our youth and have her views on the topic of discussion, because today she wasn't able to join us due to network challenges. Thank you so much and have a lovely weekend. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.